What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and I don't think that the current generation or just modern day people in general fully understand, remember, or even know how we got to where we are at today. I don't think that a lot of people realize that America, or just civilization as a whole, I don't think people understand how we got to the point where we are at now. You know, we didn't get here because of peace and PC, politically correct nonsense. We didn't get here from virtue signaling about everything. We did not get here from people complaining and whining and being offended by everything. No, we got to where we're at today because of violence. The history of the world, the history of America, the history of every continent and every country on this planet is rooted in violence. History is brutal. It's savage. It's violent. And that's how we got to where we're at today. We didn't get here because of peace on earth. We got here because of military strength, military might. America got to where it's at today because of military dominance. And even though I understand that people want to grow and we want to move farther away from our violent past, I understand that, and I think that's a good thing, but we also must remember where we came from. When you go to the local grocery store and they have all the items that you want for your Thanksgiving meal, when you go to the grocery store and, oh, we got berries, we got apples, we got meat, that didn't just happen. That happened because of years of violence. When you go to Best Buy and you're able to buy your flat screen TV or your laptop, that didn't happen out of nowhere. We got here because of violence. And I know that maybe kind of sucks to think about, but that's the reality of the situation. You, as an American, and I know I got people from all over the world watching this video, but as an American, you enjoy the luxuries that you enjoy. You enjoy the lifestyle that you enjoy because of military might and dominance. Unlike many other places in the world, up until now, there were things that we simply did not have to worry about as Americans because of military dominance. But once we lose that military dominance, you must be ready to lose your way of life. Things aren't kumbaya. Everything is not a picnic. You're not enjoying this free life just because it was given to you. People had to fight and die for it. Literally, when you go to the grocery store and you buy a box of Cheez-Its, people died so you're able to do that. And that's something that a lot of people forget about. And I'm not even here to be like overly patriotic, like support our soldiers. They're fighting for your rights. Don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with that, but that's not my point. The point is that society as a whole, we got here because of violence. And the world is a violent place. And even though we live in a little cushion, over here in America, a lot of us live in this bubble where we're not worried about things that other people and other places on earth have to worry about. We have to remember that this could be taken from us at any minute. And the weaker and weaker our country gets, the more and more our enemies will step up to the plate. Because the only thing that's keeping this world in check is military dominance. And ever since World War II, I think a lot of what has been keeping the world in check is America. For right or for wrong. I don't like that America is like the world police. I don't like involving ourselves in all types of disputes and random things going on around the world, but also sometimes it's a necessary evil to ensure that we don't have to worry about things happening on our soil. But every kingdom, every empire, it eventually falls and crumbles. Now, I think America could have been a lasting empire to go for hundreds and maybe even thousands of more years, but right now it seems as if we are watching this empire crumble. And one of the telltale signs, one of the signs that you see when an empire is crumbling is you see the enemies acting in ways that they never felt comfortable acting in before. You start seeing enemies get emboldened. You start seeing them exploit weaknesses. You start seeing them stand up to the empire. And that's exactly what is happening all across the world right now. There are various countries and regions and areas in this world who are all banding together against the U.S. because they know that right now America has been weakened. They see the cracks in the shield. They know that half of our politicians are selling us out anyway. So I just want you all to understand that when you're sitting here in the comfort of your home, eating your snacks, petting your dog, watching my YouTube videos, that you are able to enjoy this type of lifestyle because a history of violence made it possible. That's the reality. But we are heading into a new reality. You see, people like me, we've never had to witness America truly be tested. But America is being tested right now. And not by little countries in the Middle East, no, by other world superpowers who are in fact teaming up against us. China and Russia are our two biggest threats. And usually we try to keep a wedge between China and Russia. But over the past few years, this wedge has been removed and we have allowed China and Russia to become very close. Very close, a little too close. So close that they're holding joint naval operations right off the coast of Alaska in a show of force. Something that is embarrassing to us as Americans because this is something that has never happened before. Countries wouldn't even think of trying something like this 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, but now we have 11 warships floating off the coast of Alaska doing military drills, the type of drills that we do to other countries to intimidate them. These same intimidation tactics are now being used against us because we have been weakened. But before I go off on a rant here, I want you all to watch this clip because thankfully they're kind of reporting this, but as always, the things that seem to really matter get brushed under the rug while people focus on nonsense. But let's watch this clip. As you watch it, go ahead and start dropping comments, hitting that thumbs up button, and then after the clip, I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Being called a new era of authoritarian aggression, 11 ships from Russia and China reportedly conducting a joint naval drill not far from Alaska's Aleutian Islands last week. And while they didn't actually cross into United States territory, experts are calling it the largest flotilla of Chinese and Russian ships to approach America's shores, the U.S. dispatching 4 warships in response to it. A military official telling the Wall Street Journal the Russia and China patrol was, quote, not considered a threat. But let's now bring in retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Richard Newton, News Nation senior national security contributor. General, always good to see you. We know the ships have now since left, but how concerned should Americans be that 2 of our biggest adversaries are conducting these types of drills right near our waters?
Well, good morning, Marky. First, this is unprecedented. It's a close cooperation between these 2 navies now, China and Russia. They have formed up that joint maritime task force that you alluded to last week, 11 ships. And it is significant because they're now, I believe we're now in an era of great power competition. And the fact that the United States is coming out of several years of engagement in Iraq and Afghanistan, and now you've got Ukraine and Russia war, and you've got lots of aggression from the Chinese demonstrated in the Taiwan Strait and so forth. Now they're moving. They're trying to create a sphere of influence now, even up to what we call the high north, up in the Arctic region, as you referred to. And so this is significant. It's also unprecedented. It's something that we got to keep a very close eye on.
Yeah, and it certainly does seem like a provocative move given the timing of war in Ukraine, tensions with Taiwan. What do you make of the timing of it? Is this a direct response to U.S. military drills that you and I have also talked about here on this show?
I don't think so. I think this is more tied to closer cooperation between, again, China and Russia. Russia has more or less always had a very strong sense of participation and signs of aggression up in the Arctic region, and China has really now allowed Russia to maintain their military presence and a military lead, but they're playing a supporting role here. But the fact that they did a joint maritime task force in coordination that started several weeks or so ago and ended up, up near the shores of Alaska in a very effective show of display of force and coordination is, again, this is unprecedented. Now, the United States responded with 4 U.S. Navy destroyers and Navy maritime patrol aircraft and so forth. And so we provided, I think, a proper and effective response. This isn't the first time that the Russians have and the Chinese have operated in the maritime domain. They did so back in September of last year, where they had 7 ships there. I believe there were 3 Chinese ships and 4 Russian ships. So this is a larger force, a larger demonstration of close cooperation between the Russian and the Chinese navies.
Yeah, and we've been watching it by sea, also by air. Back in April, the U.S. Intercepted those 2 Russian fighter jets near Alaska, and it just seems like we keep on seeing more and more of those soft confrontations between the United States, Russia, and China. And it seems like inch by inch they do get bolder and more daring. What should we make of how each side keeps on flexing its muscles here?
Well, it is really, we're in a new era of aggression here. If you recall the Chinese spy balloon back in early February of this year, you recall just a couple months or so ago when you've got the Russians trying to down a U.S. MQ-9 drone over the Black Sea. You've got them trying to do the same over Syria. You've got China also flying close to our patrol aircraft in international airspace and near international waters and so forth. So this is planned. This isn't something that's just they're doing, as an opportunity that they see come their way. This is a planned, close cooperation. Now, the U.S. needs to maintain, again, our efforts to thwart and deter the Chinese and the Russians from operating together, much less independently, that we show this force. We bring out our surface combatant ships to again, dissuade them from entering, obviously, U.S. international waters or U.S. waters. Sure. So I think you're going to see more of this also as this competition plays out. This isn't going to be just something that we will have recalled in our recent memory. I think this is the way you're going to see this great power competition move forward over the next several months, probably into 24 and 25.
Yeah. Russia and China knew exactly what they were doing here. General Richard Newton, thank you so much.
The last couple of years in this country have been a complete joke. A complete joke. The rest of the world is looking at us and laughing. They're laughing at our weak leadership. We got China flying spy balloons over our country, just allowed to fly spy balloons over our country. Remember that? That wasn't too long ago. We've had several confrontations with Russia. There was a recent one in Syria. Russia's really been testing us. China has been testing us. And this is all stuff that we never even thought was possible. This is all stuff that we never worried about in the past, but over the last 2 years, things have drastically changed. And I don't want people getting into this place where they feel so comfortable or they're so distracted that they feel like this is normal. It's not normal for China to be flying spy balloons over our country. It's not normal for China and Russia to be teaming up in joint naval operations, let alone China and Russia teaming up to do joint naval operations off the coast of Alaska, off the coast of the U.S. That's something that does not happen. But it's happening now, and it's going to continue happening in the future. I don't know if there's any going back from this. I feel like the only outcome here is a full-scale conflict. I'm hoping that something like that won't happen. But the reality is, when I step back and I look at everything that's going on, I think the only way we avoid a full-scale military conflict is for our politicians to continue selling our country out. There's no need for war if our politicians are already selling our country out to China. China can take over this country without having to lift a finger. We already know they got secret police stations all across America. China is buying up farmland at alarming rates. China is operating illegal biolabs out of America. They've invested tons of money into the U.S. educational system. Why is that? Why is that? There's a lot of things going on that people don't know about, but if you honestly take a step back and you put it all together and you look at it, you would see that we've basically been at war for a while. But unlike many other wars, this is a war that we do not seem to be fighting back. No, we seem to not only be lying down, allowing these foreign countries to do all of this nonsense, we're also allowing it. We're empowering it. I am not very confident right now that America would be victorious if we were to get into a full-scale conflict with Russia and China and these other various countries that have aligned with them. And I mean, the longer this drags out, the worse it's going to get. And it's crazy to see, because we're in this country that provides so many distractions. So I'm looking around at my peers and everyone is distracted by everything else. And, you know, if something like this were to be happening in the 1940s, everyone would be up at arms. They would be signing up to go to war. But here, no one cares. No one knows. Everyone is ready for that future where our Chinese overlords fly balloons over our heads and have warships right off the coast of our beaches. It's really insane. But I think a lot of this is happening because people forgot how we got here. They forgot where we came from. America was founded because of revolution, because of violence. That's the reality. The history of the world is violent. And even though America wants to move into this place where we virtue signal and act all PC and soft, and we're worried about all of these other things, that doesn't mean the rest of the world is going to react that way. So as America grows softer, the rest of the world grows stronger, and they are emboldened to take action. And I'm hoping that we can do something to divert that from happening. But as of right now, it seems like we're bending over and taking it. But let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.